give 'em all to you. Sometimes I like to turn on the radio before I do a video and see what Spirit's speaking about. And that's definitely a fitting one. We're 3 days away from our first court date, dealing with our youngest child, my DM and I. And you know what's funny is I mean, I feel like I'm over prepared because I know that the court system it can take a while. And I suppose I'm really grateful that I know that I've done a lot of advocacy in different groups and stuff that like not in that way but in other ways that karma in a way is like come back to me. Like there's people that know, how to navigate the court systems and stuff that are helping me out now. And it's nice. It's nice to feel that support. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I would think with what's happened to Joey that would be enough to make bigger moves now and then deal with the actual parenting plan stuff that way. Like, Joey needs to be safe one way or another. Um, but we'll see because what I'm noticing in the system is like there's a lot of stuff that's supposed to be there to help children, to protect children, and it really doesn't unless they're like even with like dire circumstances it often doesn't, and then in situations you'd think that wouldn't matter it does. So there's a lot of stuff to navigate, and I'm kind of in a place of like rather than being like in a place of like, oh my gosh, that sucks, like because I am very worried for Joey. I'm scared for Joey in that amount of time, especially with the way that they work on eroding self-esteem, and just it's just not okay. But I'm looking at it from a wider perspective too. Like, I mean, there was one day that I went into the courts to file stuff and come out and make copies, and there was a man there that was like asking about like he saw me in there filing parenting plan stuff, and we were talking about different like his scenario and things like that, and I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a lawyer, so like I can give you from my experience so far. You can make your own decisions based on that. And we just talked, but then I was thinking about, I mean, there was a time years ago, like I almost got into being a paralegal, and like I do like that sort of stuff, and I'm not looking at it in a career angle, but I'm looking at it as like there's been this overarching theme like since September and October when I went on the Wickedly Divine Feminine tour of just children, their wishes, then them wanting safety, wanting love, wanting appreciation, like the energies of the indigenous children that are being unburied, that like they weren't even, nobody even knew what happened to them, like all this energy. And I've been like, with some of the people I talk with, it's like, you want to know what's wrong with the world, look at the way that we treat children and animals. You know what I mean? And I mean, if people are okay with treating kids the way that they have been treating kids, like, of course they don't care enough to treat themselves well enough, to treat their partners well enough, to treat the earth well enough. You know what I mean? And it starts at the basics, you know? How do you care for yourself? How do you care for your pets and your children and the plants around you and the house around you and things like that? Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but do you really care? And are you doing so from a healthy place or from like old unhealthy cycles? Because it really does make a difference. Like, you want to talk about, oh, the government this and that party that and this and that. Well, where do you think it all came from? Like, it comes from where we started at with how we treat kids and things like that. But for right now, I mean, there's many different scenarios. Not many. There's like 3 or 4 different scenarios that I've been told are likely to happen on this Monday court date, and it's likely just to be the beginning of a longer court process. But I am grateful for it because it's a place to document things, and like there's various different things that we can go through that will at least have things documented and fine printed and everything, so there's no third party argument like you know parenting our kids should just be between me and their dad. That's it. No one else gets to say. It's irrelevant what anyone else thinks, and that's been the problem that we've really both been facing. Is like everybody their say, everybody wants their bit, mostly of his coin and whatnot, and everybody wants to be involved and do this and this and that. No, these children are our children. That's it's only up to us. No one else gets to say. Well, the judge gets a say now, but that's obviously necessary at this point. Like I know even in talking with our therapist that it's like, no, I can almost literally document that I went through every appropriate means to avoid not necessarily court, but avoid getting into this stuff even before I had my moment of duress and pirating and like, you know what, I'm going to trip. Because I'm not going to blow up and do this stuff and I got to get out of my parents' house, so I'm just going. Um, so many things. So many things. I'm still working on the book, you know. But for right now, mostly what I'm doing is thinking about everything that I'm grateful for and that I miss my Joey. And that, I don't know, I have to believe that Spirit is protecting him and waking his dad, my DM, up and fixing things. Like, because to believe anything else just, you know, get you down. And there's a lot of paperwork to be done, a lot of copies to be made, a lot of work to be done. And I'm still working on me, you know. I'm never going to be perfect, but there's always, you know, it's not the goal to be perfect, it's the goal to grow and just to be better than I was before, better than I was yesterday. It's like at my job, you know, like you start out learning different things. You make some mistakes along the way, but you get better at those every time. And you probably make new mistakes in the next days, but you keep going and going and going, right? So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep praying for my Joey. I miss him. Thankfully, they've allowed him to talk to his brother Eamon, who is with me, but his dad is still not allowing him to talk to me, and he's a lot of that he's putting on himself and things like that, which is like, why would a 10-year-old with a loving relationship with his mom do that? Anyways, I'm praying for him. I appreciate you guys praying for him, and yeah, I'll get back on and fill you guys in here and there. It's mostly just a lot of adulting. Thankfully, I've been working on a lot of that for the last 38 months, so kind of ready for it. Alright, y'all. I'll see you in the next video.